Oh, well,
Good morning, Steve.
but around the eyes, and the nose. Ears, and then top of the kidney meridian. Thymus, and kidneys. Lymphatic, sides of the neck. And this one for sides of the neck and the ears. Back of the neck. Brain stem. And then the pecs. And the armpit area. Abdominal. And stomach meridian. And crease. And back and knees. And then our yin yang padding. We spend more time in the joints because the joints are energy gates for chi movement. And a lot of things can get stuck in the joints. And so spending a little bit more time in the area of the joints when we do this is beneficial in helping to clear out anything that might be stuck there. And so wrist is an important area. Elbow is an important area. Shoulder. Top of the head where that bi-wave point is. That's an important energy gate, as well as the palm gates and kidney 1 in the bottom of the foot. And that's why we spend a little bit more time with the joints when we do this part. And we do the rotation of the joints after this, because that continues to work with those areas. So down the sides of the rib cage around the belt. So hip bone area is important. Knees. And ankles. Up the front. Around the belt again. Down the back of the legs. So when we're working with the joints, we want to make sure we're covering all the territory, which is why when we do these joints, we're making sure we do the back of the joint, both sides, the front. Wise out looks backwards. So we're working with the throat area. We're working with the vagus nerve. We're working with the lymphatic system of drainage out of the brain to go into the collarbone. We're working with the cervical spine and the rotation of the neck and the head and stretching the eyes to look behind this. So all of this is helping to get movement inside the hemispheres of the brain. Stretching the eyes to look behind us is really helping with that. And rhinoceros. And when we do these neck movements, we want to feel how the spine is moving and rotating. We do the winding of palms and tendons. So here we feel it in wrist, elbow, shoulder area. So working with those energy gates. And this time, instead of the padding, we're doing winding, twisting movements, which are again helping to move energy and fluids through those areas. And then we do the rib cage. So here, moving all the organs around. And when we did the rotation of palms, that was really helping get into the heart and the upper lung area. And then we go to the big round hip movement. So here we're working with the hip bone area on the top of the femur, but also really benefiting lower organs like liver and especially kidneys. Also, this movement's really good for any lower back pain. Good stretching movement if you've been sitting too much. And all these movements are really good for the lymphatic system because, again, we're working in that area. And then we can do hula hips. So here we're at the sacrum and the bottom of the spine. And then we go to the rotation of the knees. So again, if you have more time, 9 rotations of each one of these is best. Ankles. And some acupuncture points. So we can do large intestine 4. So these are 4 energy gates for the meridian system. Whereas the work we've done before this was working on the energy gates primarily in the joints. And working on large intestine 4 and liver 3. Provide kind of a cleaning out of all the meridians. And you want to especially notice if some of these points are still a little tender, both in the lymphatic system, in the joint area. If there's tenderness there, there's probably some inflammation. But what I've noticed is, let's do liver 3 on the other side, is that by doing this kind of work on a regular basis, continually, we don't get blockages that mount up. So toxins and things generally will be in motion, moving out on a regular basis. Sometimes things might get a little clogged up. So let's do gallbladder. And you might get a little sick. So getting sick is not necessarily a bad thing. Typically, here and there, getting a cold or a flu just really means that the systems need to clean out a little bit more. And let's do gallbladder on the other side. And so remember, if you are sick, you don't want to expend energy. So you don't want to go to the gym. You don't want to be running. You don't want to be doing any of that. You want to conserve and bring more energy into the system. We can do spleen 6. And so doing this kind of work would be really beneficial because this is going to reestablish all the flows. And I would say all this work, let's do spleen 6 on the other side, is also beneficial for any autoimmune disease. I've been told by doctors that I have a few autoimmune diseases that are pretty bad. However, that was years and decades ago. And I've continued to do this work. And what I find is that if those autoimmune diseases are still here in my body, I don't really notice them. So let's do stomach 36. And so I would say that the idea with healing in the body, especially, it takes a little bit of time because this is a very dense part of our existence. But if we stay consistent with certain kind of work, I found that slowing down the progress of any so-called disease and maybe stopping it altogether, maybe reversing it, is definitely possible. Let's do pericardium. So just doing this massage in the palm. And we're massaging that Lao Gong point that's on the pericardium here. That's a pretty big energy gate, as well as the kidney 1 bubbling spring point on the bottom of the foot. Working with this point here has a tendency to open the heart. So we're relaxing and opening the heart. So you might work with a few points on the heart, say, before you do any heart meditation. Let's go to the other side. And then let's go to heart 7, which is source point for the heart. So remember, it's that little tendon here. We go into the crease of the wrist. There's a little indentation there. If you just let your wrist fall, you're activating that point, which is a point that really helps to clean out the heart meridian to sort of bring it back into stabilization. And again, with all these heart points, we're being very gentle with them. There's no need to really apply any pressure. And if you have any more time during the day, so these are good summer points, we're still in that summer season. Let's do heart 7 on the other side. Again, finding the tendon, going inside that where the creases of the wrist here, and then just letting the wrist relax. And 1 to 3 minutes is really good for holding these points. We go through it a lot faster because we're just really going through the procedure here in class of a lot of this. But spending more time with all of these practices that we're doing is going to be even more beneficial. So there's points on small intestine, there's points on the bladder, there's other points to do. We're just going to do 2 more. So the inner and outer gate. So 3 fingers at the inside, the yin side here. And little ring finger is basically at the crease here. And then where the index finger is in the center, that's your pericardium meridian. And this point is called the inner gate. So we're going to do the outer gate after this. You could hold them at the same time. However, it's a really good idea to tune into just doing one at a time. So the inner gate is the inner gate of our relationship with the heart and the pericardium. And so by holding this point's also a good point for motion sickness. But basically, we're going inside with this point to look at our relationship, especially with the heart and the pericardium. And so this could be another sort of heart opening point to be using, which is why, again, instead of doing both of them, I mean, to save time and to quickly go through things, but it's nice to spend, again, 1 to 3 minutes Let's do the inner gate on the other side here. So same thing, the 3 fingers. And then the center point here. There's a little indentation there in between the bones. And again, we're just tuning into the heart and the pericardium and the relationship we have with the heart and the pericardium. So the inner gate is opening to the inside of the body. The heart, since it's the emperor of all the other organs may be affecting the heart. And so we can be tuning into, again, feeling what's going on in the heart when we do this point. Maybe the liver is upset about something and it's showing up in the heart. So that's something we could try to discern. And then we go to the outer gate. So same thing, you go to the 3 fingers. In the center on the yang side is the triple warmer meridian. Triple warmer, triple heater. It has a lot of different names depending on the school. And this is not really an organ officially, but it's considered to have an important function in Chinese medicine. And the triple warmer, the triple heater, is related to our fight, flight, freeze aspect. And so this is the outer gate, and the outer gate is about our relationship with the outer world. And so we can look at what that outer relationship is. Many times, if we're listening to the news or on social media quite a bit, there might be anxiety and fear and different things going on with our relationship with the outer world. So we want to be aware of that. And then we can do the outer gate on the other side. And again, tuning into our relationship with the outer world. So the inner gate is about tuning into what's going on inside of us. And the outer gate is about tuning into our relationship with what's going on around us in our environment. So we have our local environment, which might be our family, our friends, our relatives, and then expanding outward into the entire world. Okay, so let's move things along here. I'm going to leave this here because we'll do Wu Ming today. So Wu Ming is good. Again, prevention, recovery of breast cancer is why many people do it. But it's a good practice for any respiratory health. It's a good practice to get things moving in the lymphatic system. So in this entire practice, we're the dragon. And the Chinese dragon is very auspicious. There's longevity involved. There's flow involved because the Chinese dragon is involved with the water element, not the fire element, as it is with the Western dragon. Western dragon has wings typically, breathes fire. Chinese dragon is water and no wings, very just serpent-like. Okay. And so there's a gentleness besides strength in the dragon. And those are the qualities that we want to bring into the practice as we're doing it. So the palms start here. Shoulders and shoulder blades are always nice and relaxed. And the inhale is the dragon opening the curtains, which is this movement here. And it's a very circular movement that goes around like this. So the inhale brings us all the way out to here. The exhale brings us back into the center in front of the heart here, in front of the lungs. So this is the area we're working with a lot. And we're opening up the collarbone and the pecs and that armpit area. So inhale, dragon opens the curtains. And when you open the curtains, I always imagine that it's sunrise. So I see the sun down here rising, but then I see a full moon up here because we're dealing with the moon. So the end of the inhale is here. And then the exhale is coming back into the center again. And you can stretch your thumb and your index finger if you want to here when you're opening the curtains, because again, that's activating so the thumb is the lung meridian. So we want to really activate that area and get flow through that. So exhale, inhale, open the curtains. Keep the shoulders down and relax, and you feel this whole rib cage area opening to help get the arms out to the side here, and then everything closes back with the exhale. Let's do one more. Inhale, and then exhale. And if you're going to be serious about this particular practice, you would spend 5 minutes on each one of these. So the next one's going to be the dragon touching the moon. And so for this one, the palms are pressing forward a little bit more to touch the moon. And then they still come out a bit like this and back and come back into the center again. So this is more of a push-pull kind of movement. So touching the moon, and when we touch the moon, we want to imagine that the silver light of the moon is creating this corridor of silver white light that's pouring through this upper area, going out the back of the body, the same distance that the moon is in front of us. So the inhale is touching the moon, the silver white light is pouring in, the exhale is coming back to the center. Inhale, dragon touches the moon, silver white light pours in. Exhale, palms move back. So it's a pulling movement. So slight pressing. The pressing is done with our mind. So we're not pressing with our muscles or anything like that. We feel that we're doing this movement with our mind. We're not really working with the physical tissues here at all. And here, this pulling back is pulling the white light in, okay? So inhale, touch the moon. Exhale, white light pours in. Let's just do one more. Inhale, touch the moon. Exhale, white light pours in. So here we've really activated this whole area here, which includes a lot of our lymphatic system, getting that to move. And then we're going to go to the lower part of the body. So we do the dragon dancing, which is, and we're always starting on the left side because that's the yin side, that's the lunar side. So we rotate one direction, we rotate the other direction. And this rotation is coming from this hip area. And so you feel it in the knees, you feel it in the ankle, you feel it down in the toes. And this is basically opening up this whole lower area. And you do it on the left, and then you go ahead and do it on the right. And so with a lot of these, we're just alternating sides, but we're always starting at the left. So we may go back to the left again, And again, you would just do this for up to 5 minutes. And this is a good activation for the lower lymphatic system, going from the abdominal down into the crease, back of the knees, but again, covering that whole territory. And then we want to continue with this, but be a little more aggressive about it. And so we're going to go to the left again. You can use a chair and just hold on, say, with one finger, and maybe it's just lightly resting that index finger on the top of the chair, just so that your body feels, oh, my balance feels pretty easy and good. And then we just sort of kick out any six-tail energy. Feel it being kicked out of the toes and the kidney 1 meridian at the bottom of the foot, maybe even the heel channel, because we're kicking kind of with the heel. And it's just a kick forward that starts in the center here and then just kicks forward a little lightly like that. So it's just a kick. The toes are kind of aimed up a little bit, so you feel a little bit of a stretch here, but again, not too much of a stretch. We're not trying to activate much physically here. The idea is we want to be as relaxed as possible to allow six-tail energy to pour out. And here we're just kicking it forward. And again, the activity, the movement is really originating in the hip area here. And then after we do the left side, we go and do the right side. And again, just feel like you're shaking out any six-tail energy. And here again, we can go back to the left side. And you just alternate, again, up to 5 minutes. So 5 minutes is the prescribed amount to seriously do the practice. You want to make sure when you do one side, you always finish with the other side. And since we're always starting with the left, you'll always be finishing with the right here when we do these kind of movements. And then the next movement is a little kick backwards. So the little kick backwards, again, is you just start in the center here. And it's just a kick backwards like this. And again, we're not tensing. We're just trying to really stay as loose as possible. And again, feel that we're shaking out any six-tail energy. So first we did the upper part of the body, lymphatic system. Now we're doing the lower part. And we go to the right side. And again, you can keep on alternating that. And then now we're going to do more of a full body movement. And we're going to be working with the silver white light again. So here we want to imagine that the moon is in front of our toes of our left foot. We're going to use our right palm to scoop it out of the sea and let that white light pour into our eyes, because we're going to be looking at the moon as we're doing this. But also you can feel the white light again pouring through the lung meridian. Okay, so on both sides, just feel it pour through here. And if you can't bend down very far, don't worry about that. You could just even do this, imagining that you're down where the toes are in the sea, and you're lifting up the moon. So an important part is feeling the little spiraling that happens here, and then the unspiraling that happens here when you come back up. So, and if you have any osteoporosis, osteopenia in the spine, you don't want to do any of that flexion work, so you may not want to bend down very far. If it's fine for you to do that, then you can do it. So the inhale is going down into the sea to lift the moon out. We're looking at the moon the whole time it comes up. And then when we're here, we just gently drop the moon back into the sea. And our eyes are looking off into the distance, but not focusing on anything. So that's called looking without looking. And then we do the other side. So now we're going to use our left palm. And so typically you might be exhaling as you go downward. We lift the moon out of the sea. We're looking at it, absorbing the silver white light. We're dropping the moon back into the sea, looking off into the distance, but not focusing on anything. And that's one repetition. So let's do another one of those. So typically it might be exhaling to go down, inhaling to come up, maybe exhaling to drop the ball, inhaling to look into the distance, exhaling, silver white light pouring into our upper area here. So you would continue to do that weaving rotation again up to 5 minutes. And then the last part of this is the standing practice where we're just doing this. So to do that, we just want to get into that relaxed Wu Ji position. Knees are bent a little bit. All the bones are stacked here. And we can just let the arms kind of float up. And then we want to feel this roundness here. And again, everything is very subtle in these movements. And we want to feel that we're holding like a big beach ball or one of those big exercise balls here. So we want to feel a roundness in here. And then we just turn, so we're just lightly folding our fingers and let the thumbs now face each other. Because again, we want to focus on the lung meridian movement. And so here, again, we're just going to stand for at least 5 minutes, but 15 minutes to a half an hour would be even better. And if you're standing for a long time, what you may need to do is relax the areas that are bothering you, which might be anywhere in the back, shoulder blade area. Usually it's the shoulder and the upper arm that have a tendency to tense up. So you can do some gentle kind of movements. You can use your mind to go into that space and feel that the tension there is like this. It's like a block of ice. And then you just slowly melt the ice. And then you continue to melt the ice so that the steam just rises and everything just relaxes. And the physical way to kind of do that is to let the palms open up and relax like this. So here you can imagine that you're holding the moon and it's just floating at the top of the sea and your palms are on top of the moon. So you're still connecting with that white light, that silver white light. And you can do this for 1 to 3 minutes, which should relax the shoulder area and any area you were feeling tension in. So the idea here is not to use willpower to get rid of our tension, but to do a meditation where we're dissolving the tension and letting it go. Because again, it's tension typically in this area here that's causing the physical problem of anything going on in our lungs or the breast cancer and all that. And then again, after that 1 to 3 minutes, we let everything float up again like this. Just gently close the fingers and let the thumbs come together again. And we stay here for a little longer. And this is how you could easily make this work for 20 minutes or a half an hour. If you had to do the ball in the ocean again, you could do that. But typically, after you do that once for a couple of minutes, you do this again, and your shoulders feel a lot more relaxed. Again, the procedure is to have your awareness, your mind go into those spaces that are feeling tender and painful. And that's just stress and tension that's there. That's all that pain is. And so we want to try to dissolve it with our minds. And when we finish the practice, again, we go down and hold the moon, the ball at the top of the ocean. And do that again for 1 to 3 minutes. And then when we're done with that, we do the closing, which is inhale. As palms are rising up, the legs are sinking down. Exhale, palms come down, legs lift up. And then we can either pause like this or like this. And if you have more time to spend, again, you can still be doing kind of a meditation where white light is pouring through this space. You could be holding the ball for another 5 or 10 minutes like this, again, absorbing all that white light circulating. And when we do that, the thumbs are still facing each other. It's just that they're facing each other down here instead of up here. So we're done with practice today. Thank you for coming to practice together.
Thank you, Steve. Hope you have a nice afternoon.
You too. See everybody next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.